Hello, welcome everyone. So we are going to start. Welcome to the I4MS Talk towards Industry 5.0, New Skills and Capabilities. So I'm going to do a short presentation. I'm Marta Portales Oliva. I'm the European Projects Coordinator at Mobile World Capital. I'm part of the I4MS team. I4MS is composed by 3 partners, Funding Box, Tecnalia, and Mobile World Capital. So today we are going to start with a brief introduction about what is I4MS. Later on, we will have and we will hear different presentations of speakers, and we want to finish with a conversation about the path to reach Industry 5.0. So, but first, what are the working groups? What are we trying to do here? So we have
Marta, just before starting, can you please remind everyone to close the micro before starting, because as we have a lot of people there, just not to interrupt the session, okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So what are the working groups in I4MS? So we have 2 different working groups, one on best practices. So how are SMEs adopting the digitalization, specifically in the manufacturing sector, and a working group on upskilling and reskilling challenges in regards to the manufacturing sector too. Today, we are having an approach that it's more general to the digital skills. And the idea is to have these activities as rather a networking activity to discuss and to put in common some of the practices that are around Europe happening. So the idea is today we are having different speakers with us. So Jakub Katzman is a policy officer, and he will explain a little bit about the digital skills activities that the European Commission has started, specifically about the launch of the new platform that they created. Then we will hear Giovanni. He's a founder of Skillman, which is an association of different vet initiatives around the world. And Filippo Chiarello, who will present research about the path of Industry 4.0 and how it is reflected in the ESCO indicators. My colleague Marjorie Grasler, she will be leading you through the debate during the last hour of this session. So what is the I4MS initiative? It started early on in 2013 with the purpose of promoting and foster the digital innovation of manufacturing SMEs in Europe. And we do it with different types of activities. The idea is to promote knowledge exchange around Europe, encourage cross-border cooperation, inform about the latest market trends, and provide access to not only funding opportunities, but also support services for SMEs. And in this phase 4, we are also including the DIHs. So what does I4MS offer to the ecosystem? As you can see in our website, we have different stakeholders that are approached through the activities that we do. On one side, we have a strong component of communication services. So we help disseminate different open calls of the innovation actions that form I4MS. We create webinars such as this one and I4MS Talks in order to focus on the communication. We have a newly created training catalog and working groups that I will show you later on. And we also have a new brokerage tool that tries to match on one side the different European projects that are giving funding with SMEs, and also in the future the I4MS contact points that are composed mainly by DIHs and EDIHs. We also highlight different success stories and best practices, so SMEs that have successfully adopted new technologies and have performed different pilots. And this is also something that we want to give voice to through our communication channels. So this phase 4 focuses mainly on 4 technologies. So digital twins, represented by DigiBrain and Change2Twin, smart modeling, simulation. Then we have cognitive autonomous systems and human-robot interaction. Here we have Better Factory and projects. Those projects also work with arts. Then we have AI, innovative artificial intelligence. In this case, we have AI Regio and Kit for SME. Some of the representatives are here, so in the debate afterwards, maybe we can all discuss. Then the laser-based additive manufacturing, we have Pulsate. And the DIH World focuses mainly on the DIHs and EDIHs in regards to advanced manufacturing. So to make this short, I just wanted to let you know that we've just launched a new training catalog. It has the trainings that have been gathered since 2017, and we are creating this content. Also, a new training, if you are training providers, can be submitted. We create this content, and we've also done a campaign so that DIHs and EDIHs can send us their offers, as well as other European projects that work on advanced manufacturing technologies. So with no further delay, I'm giving the floor to Jakub. So the floor is yours, Jakub. We cannot hear you.
Sorry, now it was a mistake on my side. Sorry, I was double muted to follow your guidance from the beginning. So sorry. Once more, thank you very much for the invitation, and also thank you for bringing me here to this meeting, and also congratulations to what you did with the training catalog and with everything on the I4MS. We really much appreciate it. Give me please a second. I just have my kid who just came to the room. Just a second.
No worries.
No worries.
So then the new platform of the digital skills is really interesting. It's when you access it, it also addresses different stakeholders groups, and we try to simulate this also in regards to the advanced manufacturing technologies in I4MS. So
yeah. I'm very sorry. Could you switch the order of the presentations, because
yes, no worries.
I had to keep the kids at home today, and it's the classic home office situation, and
no worries,
I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'm really sorry for that.
No, Giovanni, maybe.
Thank you.
Absolutely, don't worry, Jakub. Please take care of the kid.
Yeah, you can share the screen then. Oh. I will leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me share my. You have to activate my sharing ability. I cannot.
Oui.
It's not activated yet.
I don't think I can do that. So I will share the screen then, and you tell me next slide.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So we are ready for everything.
You have to give me the hosting capacity to share, probably.
Yeah. So I have to do it myself.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see. Don't worry. Okay, you can go 2 slides more, please. Yeah. Go on. No, too much. Too much.
Here.
Mega trends. The first one is mega trends. Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, just a moment. I have to reset here because of this change. I have to enlarge the screen, otherwise I don't see my slides. Okay, good. So good morning to everybody. I have set 12 minutes for this introduction. It's okay, Marta, or is too much?
Perfect.
Or?
Yeah.
It's perfect. Okay, I start my timer when you will hear the ring is me. So thank you to take part to this presentation and to invite me and for you to invite me to make the presentation. I represent the Skillman network, that is a worldwide network for introducing skills on advanced manufacturing sector. The Skillman is referred to not to a gender issue, but to manufacturing. We are based in plus 90 countries in the world, and currently our more than 600 members are from TVET, Vocational Education and Training sector, but also many companies, even big industries, leaders of the mechatronics sector, automotive, we have Stellantis, big groups, and so on. So the network was founded in 2014. Currently in this presentation, sorry, the timer was not started. In this presentation, I didn't bring any detailed information on the network. This was just the introduction of myself and the network. I would like to talk about what is on the table. We have an important event for our network next week that is called the Skillman International Forum. I have put here in the chat the link, so if you have time to visit, you are invited to join us. It's a hybrid event in Bologna and Lisbon. So we are facing mega trends I have written here. So we have rapid urbanization, we have climate change, we have switching on economic powers. We see how there's coming new economies that are coming up from different parts of the world, and we have such a demographic changes. We assist to this massive movement of population, the migrations, no? And we have such technological disruption issues that we cannot prevent, we cannot stop, we cannot drive. We try, but they are autonomous. And the effect of the pandemic that has changed everything in our view. So can you go to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
So we have in sum something that provoke an economic and workplace changes, and these put in the center even more the human capital. And the human capital, for me, that I'm a pedagogist and I talk about skills, is something that is is composed by skills. Now everybody talk about these work skills, competencies, but 20 years ago when I started, I was saying in Italy, I work in the in vet sector, and nobody was understanding what I was doing. And even when I was mentioning skills, nobody was understanding. But now, even my parents, they never understood what I do. But now everybody is talking about skills. So we have now we are focusing these three, I would say, three main kind of skills. This is the agenda, no? The green skills. We see how it is important that we take care of our environment, and then the digital skills that allow us to interact, and the ethical skills that is in a very important mandate from the Skillman network. We put a strong attention to ethical skills that are part of the soft skills, I would say, but is a very specific part. We consider that is very important. I will give you some more word about this in the next part of the presentation. And then, so this means that we have challenges as TVET providers. So every one of us is engaged in this transformation. Of course, we want to move to Industry 5.0. We need a reinforced human capital, but the role is for TVET. It's very important that this was wrong, the first ring. It's very important that TVET take the responsibility in bringing on this change and providing people with the right skills. So we need to anticipate, to adapt, and to improve. This is something that we call the re-engineering for change. So we need to change, and we need to support the change, each one with its role, his role. But in our case, we think that we need to improve the TVET systems. So please, can you go on? We say that we need to pass from an intellectual to practical knowledge. we need to equip individuals with the skills credentials. I think you know this this relevant debate on micro-credentials. And as a Skillman network, we want to give a sense to learning, putting this attention to the ethical impact. No, can you go back, please? Yeah. So in Zooms, we have to move to provide people with renewed or new qualifications. Now you can move on. And the next slide will clarify that we want to go to a new, a renewed planet that we call the qualifications planet, the planet of qualifications. So there is, in this regard, in our opinion, there is a shift among education and TVET, because before this impacts that we have from these mega trends, education was playing a different role than now, because now we agree that it's necessary to have a practical knowledge. Everybody understands that the learning cannot be only initial, only at the starting of your life. It's a continuous learning. No? The lifelong learning is a concept that now is recognized as a need. And so the education system is not thought to provide education along the life. There is the TVET system. Practical knowledge means TVET activation. And so the role of TVET is changing in this regard, because in the qualifications planet, we have qualifications that play a role in all the human life situation. So we have, can you go on, please? We have roles in education, we have roles in labor market and in the society. And in this regard, we look to a qualification planet that put together the players that can support this drive to make people becoming able to play roles in all these different situations, different shapes. So we have an initiative that is called coves.eu, that is a network inside of the Skillman network. We have this composition of centers of vocational excellence. Our coves put together companies, policymakers, vet providers, individuals. This is taken from a setting that was described by an economist, David Finegold. And we tried to put together these players, the research and development, the higher education and TVET providers, the business representatives, to make what we call the high skills ecosystem. So the natural place where we can identify, define, and promote acquisition of the skills. So we work on curricula design. We can move on, please. We work on the grabbing on the skills foresight, to understand what are the skills needs, and we try to redefine the curricula for the future, because we think that the society of tomorrow is the curricula of today. So in this regard, we also envisage a new way to work. We think to an ambient, a work environment that is an ambient for learning, not only an ambient for working, but something where something that provides you with support, with information, with stimulations to understand and to learn, to deploy your capacity in a way that your capacity produce new learning opportunities. And in this regard, can you move on, please? We think to something that we have called skills rings. So we think to learning factories where the know-how of the ones that are in production, the people, is given to the availability of the community. Can you move on? There are 4 steps here, please. Yes, thank you. And then this provoke a circle that allow people really to be involved in a real learning environment, using sensors, using all the data that arrives from the production, using also putting together the resources, natural resources of e-learning and TVET approach to the real factory environment. So mixing together these things, we allow our worker to stay in an environment that allow a real understanding and learning. We can go to the next slide, where I would like to introduce another concept related to what we are living now, the smart condition of a work at distance. Like for the pandemic, we were obliged to start to think in this way, and many organizations were able to survive thanks to the distance working. And in terms of learning opportunity and creation of skills, this match with the mobility for learning, because mobility for learning until now was only thought as an opportunity to learn moving to a production environment. But this action to move now can be also thought in another way, and we are talking about virtual mobility for learning. So now we are in a condition to make a blended virtual mobility, because it's difficult to introduce this new way and new approach. But consider that there are millions of people that are already working at distance fully. The freelance that use Upwork or such kind of platforms, they only work at distance. And so why to provide to our students or learner physical mobility when they could work totally at distance? There are learners that consider for the choosing of their own job, even these conditions to work. If they can work from a beach or a pub, why they have to move in a factory? They can start to think. So this is the new front also for TVET, to move the concept of distance working to mobility for learning. We can go to the next slide. For organizing this, of course, we need data-driven companies, and we need a lot of conditions to be set to allow learners to have these experiences, work placements experiences at distance. But anyway, we think that this is possible, and we are also working on this regard. Last slide is a recall to this ethical approach we have. We look to the social dimension, the green skills and digital skills, as only a mission that put together all in a vision that we call the access to skills for advanced manufacturing for all. So we think that there is also a risk that in this period, the parts of the humanity remain cut out from the access to the skills for advanced manufacturing, and instead, and then we think that we need to put attention on this point. Excellence for all. This is excellence means the quality in TVET, because we have these centers of vocational excellence that works together to improve their own quality in providing TVET services. In this regard, we are working together with the European Training Foundation. We have a very strict collaboration with them. It's 1.5 years that we are doing daily activities together. You can see this publication here, Centers of Vocational Excellence from European Training Foundation, that mention our network and what we do. And the other publication is the last publishing from Asian Development Bank that we also have contributed with a chapter trying to define our excellence for all vision. Thank you very much. And if we have time then to discuss, I have other information that I can share with you.
Thank you so much. So now we can go back to the presentation. One moment. Yeah. So, Jakub, now the floor is yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and sorry once more for the disruption.
No worries.
I just wanted to congratulate also the I4MS for this training catalog and for the work that you are doing, because I think it's a great work, and I think it fits very well to what we in the European Commission are also doing. And I would like to today give you a kind of snapshot of what we are building right now, which is what we call a home for digital skills in Europe, which is a platform, digital skills and jobs platform, where that gathers information, resources, and also the community. I'll talk about it in a minute, but first let's go to the next slide and let's have a look at the situation that we have now in Europe. And as we see clearly, and I think we all will agree that there is a digital skills gap in Europe. You can click to the next step, because first of all, 44% of Europeans don't have even the basic digital skills. And with the changing environment and with all the changes that the pandemic has brought, this means that these 44% of people are in a big trouble. They cannot use their online banking. They cannot work remotely if they don't have the digital skills. They cannot function in an economy that is increasingly digital economy and society. And the big, so that's the problem of the basic digital skills. The other problem, and you can go to the next step, is the lack of ICT specialists. Hundreds of thousands of digital experts are missing. We have, according to Eurostat, 55% of companies that tried to recruit or recruited ICT specialists faced difficulties in finding people for these jobs. And I think if you are working with SMEs, or if you have your own company, you probably know it very well, that finding a good digital expert, good software developer, good programmer, it's a pain, and it's a very difficult job. So you see, this is the gap that is happening in Europe right now, and the European Commission presented a set of actions. We can go to the next slide, under a strategy called Digital Decade. This Digital Decade really targets digital and the development of digital economy and society from different angles, and it set out some targets. One of the sets of targets is also related to digital skills, and the concrete targets are that by 2030 we want to bridge this gap and bring at least 80% of people to having basic digital skills. So that's our first target for the basic. And for the more advanced, or for ICT specialists, there we aim to have 20 million of digital experts and ICT specialists employed in Europe by 2030. What we see, the current trends as they are, is that without an action, without something that would happen, we will not reach these targets. And so that's why we need to go ahead, not only on the Commission side, but we believe that a broad action is needed, that the Commission itself will not only change this trend, and we will do our part, but we also rely on digital innovation hubs, on SMEs, on companies, of course, on universities and education providers to join us and to work on this together. And this brings me to the platform. We can go to the next slide. Currently, the different initiatives that are taking place in Europe, both on the European side, but also on the national side. They are, some of them are connected, but very often they are missing the links. And also in one country, you might have very good practices, but these are not replicated, or the knowledge is not shared across borders to another country. So the network is there. We see that many actors, organizations are taking these actions, but there is not this common knowledge that would help us to scale up and to really reach these targets. And so what we are trying to build with the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, and you can go to the next slide, is a one-stop shop. It's like, you can imagine it like this picture from France, from Paris, where you have this one square with the Arc de Triomphe, where all the streets come to this square, and at the same time, if you are on this square, you can go to the other parts of the city, but you know that when you reach this square, it will take you, you will have the possibility to go wherever you want or whatever you need to find. I think we are trying to build something similar with the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, a one-stop shop, a place where you can go if you need information, data, if you need to network with the community, if you need to find training opportunities, anything you need around digital skills, the platform should offer it to you. And then we can go to the next slide to have a look how it looks. So this is the platform itself. We have launched it in May. We are constantly building it up. And one of the best features, I think, currently is the way how we bring information to users, because you can identify yourself as a role, as a training provider or SME owner or student, and we give you information that is tailored for you, and so that you know what you need to look at. And if you cannot identify yourself as a role, you can also, we can go to the next step, identify yourself as interested in a certain topic, in a certain technology area. And again, the platform should bring content, information, data, and the community to you. So this is a very nice way how you can search and find information that you need. We can go to the next stage. Recently, we have launched an interactive country map as well, because we understand that you also want to learn what's going on in other countries, what are the statistics, what are the actions. So on this interactive map, you can find all that information in a nice and interactive and user-friendly way. We can go to the next stage. So in terms of mapping the content on the platform, we have 4 different categories. One is about actions, and we list there national initiatives, national strategies, but also European initiatives. The second group of content is called opportunities, and that's where you find training opportunities, funding opportunities, or career guidance. The third group of content is about inspiration, and that's where you can learn about good practices, find resources, find research results, reports that will help you to design your actions, or that will help you to make more informed choices. And the last group is about community, where you can network, discuss, and one more thing that we will be launching very soon is a self-assessment tool based on the digital competence framework. That people can take to assess their digital skills. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now we are constantly upgrading the platform, improving it, so we have new features. We will run a series of webinars. We will introduce direct messaging, so you can better connect with people that you are interested in. About the testing digital skills, I already spoke. We will have also a private discussion group, and one bigger thing which I want to mention today is that very soon the Digital Europe program calls will be published, and there we will use the platform also to bring people and interested organizations, stakeholders to the Digital Europe program calls to form the consortia and to be able to apply for this funding from the new Digital Europe program. We can go to the next stage, please. Engagement is the key for us on the platform, and that's why I today also want to invite you to join it. Join us there, register, because as I said, we have the community space for discussions. We have the webinars where you can learn new trends, meet interesting speakers, and connect with them later on. You can contribute to the platform. If you have content, if you have relevant resources, you can just go there. There are easy buttons where you click and you suggest or you submit your content suggestion. And we are, of course, very happy to have as broad reach in terms of content offer as possible. And you can network on the platform to find people who might want to work with you on the project, or just exchange with them on the way you see the skills, let's say the skills world. Let's go to the next slide, please. Our main objectives, therefore, are to help to deliver on the objectives of the digital decade, to strengthen our community, to use the platform as a main tool for the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition, which is an initiative. It's a movement of 600 companies and organizations, plus 25 national coalitions in 25 member states. And all of these organizations take action and are active in order to helping improving digital skills. And last but not least, we really want to provide as a platform the customer service to our visitors and to people who come to us and who are looking for ideas, for data, or for networking in the area of digital skills. We can go to the next slide, and you can click already twice or three times. So I really invite you to visit the platform. I would be very happy to hear what you think, or to see that you want to contribute either in the community or with content. And for the last stage, maybe for food for thought, maybe the last slide, I would like to also ask you how you and your organization are helping to bridge the digital skills gap in Europe, and how you are contributing to the digital decade targets. You don't need to reply now. You can reply in the chat if you want, or you just go to the platform and you can type in the community, and we will be very happy to hear your thoughts and your ideas and about your projects. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the discussion. Thanks.
Thank you. So now we give the floor to Filippo.
Yeah. Can you please share my slides also, because I don't. Yeah, thank you. So in line, hi everyone. I'm Filippo Chiarello from University of Pisa. I'm an assistant professor here, and today I will show you some of the most recent activities that me and my research group, that is called Business Engineering for Data Science, we have carried out in the last year. My main focus, my main expertise is on natural language processing, and I've started applying these techniques some years ago on patents and scientific articles. But then from 3-4 years ago, me and my research team started to switch our focus towards more technological application and forecast of the technological trends, to skills, and to all the technological phenomena that are related to skills, in order to do what Jakub was asking. So how we asked ourselves, how can we help with our tools to bridge the digital skill gap? And today I will show you, as I said, one of the application that we have developed that has been published on Technological Forecasting and Social Change Journal. And our goal here was to measure if and how much the European framework for skill competencies and occupations is in line with Industry 4.0. So the research questions can be divided in two macro groups. The first one is, as I said, to measure the alignment between ESCO and Industry 4.0 research. So scientific papers talking about Industry 4.0 that are, for this experiment that we have done, the database where we can see, when we can measure the actual evolution of Industry 4.0, in order to understand then how much people working on ESCO and making policies using ESCO are able to stay at line with this fast change of Industry 4.0. So first of all, we ask ourselves, is ESCO in line with Industry 4.0 research? Is the updating process of ESCO able to follow 4.0 evolution? And if yes, how much is this possible for Europe? The second group of question goes into a lower level of granularity. So we see, we look for technological differences between ESCO and Industry 4.0 research from the technological point of view. So which trending 4.0 technologies are contained or not contained in ESCO? Does ESCO have the appropriate level of technological detail? So is it able to describe the technologies at the proper level? And finally, why are sub-technologies not aligned between the two sources, which are the reason for mismatches between the two? Next slide, please. Our method, as I said, relies on text mining and natural language processing. We started with a data retrieval process that retrieve scientific articles from Scopus, that is a scientific article database, the database of Elsevier, for measuring the trending technologies, 4.0 technologies in scientific literature. And then we take as input also the last two versions of ESCO, ESCO version 1.0 and ESCO version 1.1 that was released for preliminary consultation during the summer. We extracted technologies from these two sources using natural language processing, processed this data, and finally make the measures that can help us in answering the research question that I was showing you before. Next slide again, please. So some numbers in order to let you better understand what kind of data we are talking about. So we, as I said, we are able to extract technologies from 4.0 technologies from any text. And using our tools on ESCO and on scientific literature, we arrived to 752 technologies. The analysis was done on more than 13,000 scientific papers on Industry 4.0, because this is the number of dimension of scientific literature talking about this topic of interest. And we are also analyzing about about 10,000 ESCO skills. So using the automatic approaches that we are implementing, we are able to manage these quite big quantity of data. Next slide, thank you. Some preliminary results before going into deeper detail. In this table, you can see for 5 different cases. Okay, so in the first line, we can see the numbers at some example of technologies in the last column that are contained in ESCO version 1.0, ESCO version 1.1, in Industry 4.0 papers. So this is the case where these 4.0 technologies are present in all of the data sources that we are analyzing. These on the top 80s in terms of importance, so where importance is the number of scientific articles that contain these technologies, we have 47 technologies that are contained in the 3 of the sources. We, on the 752 technologies, 135 are contained in this group, and some examples are well-known technologies, like big data, machine learning, or 3D modeling. Moving to the second row, we start to see what ESCO has added in the new version, 1.1, and these technologies were also contained in Industry 4.0 paper. We have only 9 technologies in the top 80 and 18 in the whole data set. Here we can see some seed also of what we call Industry 5.0 because 5.0 because we have human-machine interaction, for example. So we can see that human-centered vision of Industry 4.0 is coming also inside ESCO, thanks to the new version, which is really good. Then moving to the third row, we can see the technologies that are contained in Industry 4.0 papers, but not contained in ESCO, neither version 1.0 or version 1.1. Here we have some important technologies for Industry 4.0, such as edge computing or the concept of digital twin, which is totally missing. Then in the last two rows, very briefly, we have the technologies that are contained in Industry 4.0, not contained in Industry 4.0 papers, but contained or in the 1.0 version on ESCO or in the 1.1 version of ESCO. Also for this group, which is a strange group because we expect in scientific articles to have more technologies than ESCO, we have done some discussion that you can find directly in the scientific article that we have published. Next slide, please. So it's not only a matter of what is present and what is not present, but since we are talking about Industry 4.0, which is, as we said this morning, a super trending phenomena and in continuous evolution, we have to take into consideration also how fast the technologies that are inside Industry 4.0 are growing. So we use this index that is the RDGR that it actually measures how fast a technology is growing. And so we can see here that from the graph that the technologies that were added in ESCO version 1.1 are statistically more growing than the others. So the one that were already included in ESCO before the update or not included in ESCO. This is a statistical signal, a really good statistical signal for ESCO of the ability of the ESCO team to keep the ontology in line with what is more trending with Industry 4.0. Next slide, please. In the paper, you can find the specific technologies that we have found in the three domain, and from here you can see some interesting cases. So in bold, you can see, for example, the technologies that are not contained in ESCO. So you can see that they have a 0 in the fourth and fifth columns because they are not contained in ESCO. And these are cyber physical system, digital twin, real-time monitoring, collaborative robot. And in the paper, we make some discussion about the reason why these technologies are not contained, and they can go into many directions. So first of all, they are maybe too much fine-grained, or they are missing because ESCO didn't focus yet on these technologies, and so it's important that they maybe in the next revision will focus on these technologies, or they have different names in ESCO with respect to scientific articles, but also this can be a problem of misalignment between these two words. Next slide, please. And we are going to an end. So, as I said, we have also some technologies that are not contained in scientific papers, but contained in ESCO. Also here we can see some interesting evidences of the fact that some technologies, also less important ones, are contained in ESCO, while some other more important technologies are still missing from the framework. Next slide. So thank you very much, and if you have any question, you can also write me an email, and I will put the paper, which is open access, on the chat so that you can have a look at it. Thank you.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Filippo. Now we are going to go to the debate. So Marjorie will guide us a little bit on how the methodology will be. Also, to the attendants, please write your questions if you have any for the speakers in the chat. And as Jakub, I've seen he has been answering them already. So thanks for that. I will share my screen again. One moment. Marjorie, the floor is yours. She will introduce on the concept of Industry 5.0.
Yes, absolutely. And just thank you very much, Marta, for inviting me in this great workshop, actually. I have a bit, this is not my voice, my usual voice, so I'm sorry. Okay, so first things, I just wanted to be clear. We will share with you during my presentation a link for the public, for the participant, to answer to some question that I will ask to our participant, but you public can also answer. Okay. So after all this great presentation, I will and before starting to debate and to start the discussion, let's say, I will add a bit more of context. Actually, there is not much literacy about Industry 5.0 yet, and what I want to ask is, what is Industry 5.0 and precisely what is not Industry 5.0? So Industry 5.0 is not a new revolution, nor a tech approach, neither a digital transformation. It is not a revolution because it has already happened with Industry 4.0, which has brought computers connected and communicating with one another to make decisions without human involvement. So Industry 5.0 is not a tech approach because Industry 4.0 already took this path. The smart factories became a reality thanks to a combination of cyber-physical system, the Internet of Things, and the Internet of Systems. So Industry 4.0 allows factories to be connected on real time, adjusting production depending on data, and creating personalized products. And Industry 5.0 is not about digital transformation because factories have already to choose which technology are best adapted to their business to embrace the digital transformation. So what is Industry 5.0? It's an add-on, a transition, a complement, and even a vision, according to the European Commission. And I will read the definition. The vision recognizes the power of industry to achieve societal goals beyond jobs and growth, to become a resilient provider of prosperity by making production respect the boundaries of our planet and placing the well-being of the industry worker at the center of the production process. So in the Industry 5.0, at the heart of the production process, the core is put in the human needs and interest. So it is not about what we can do with new technology, but what the technology can do for us. And of course, there is these two other concepts that are sustainability and resilience that are also very important in the definition of Industry 5.0, because it's when we become aware of the planetary boundaries that have to be respected, and when disruption and crisis can be better coped with. So, of course, and this is the last point, that it's Industry 5.0 is for sure an important transformation for the workforce. And it is indeed, I think, the moment when workforce can take back the control of job transformation. So if we can go to the next slide. So the future of work must be human. So we have to ask ourselves, what are the benefits of the Industry 5.0? And from the point of view of the worker first, what changed from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0? Here you can see now work is not a cost anymore, but an investment, meaning that the company and the workers are growing together. It's about reaching objective by investing in skills, capabilities, and well-being. And of course, technology serves people, no? Also meaning that the worker has to be involved in the design and the deployment of new industrial technologies for him to be more empowered and to have more inclusive and safe working. Now, what does it mean for industry to adopt the Industry 5.0's values? Better talent attraction. I don't know if you know that, but by 2025, 75% of the workforce will be composed of the so-called generation millenniums. And these people want their work to have a purpose and to be proud of their employer. There's another benefit for the industry is that it will increase competitiveness and relevance, meaning being competitive while respecting workers can attract investors and consumers. And finally, resilience and quick adaptation. Industry 5.0 will help deal with vulnerabilities. And we go to the next slide, please. So the challenges are obvious in the view of the previous slides and in the previous presentation. The manufacturing industry must prepare to upskill and reskill their workforce. And here I put some important arguments that, for example, the first one was already mentioned by Jacob. 4 out of 10 Europeans lack basic digital skills, and 59 million of Europeans lost their jobs during lockdowns. And finally, what about the technology disruption? Can you go on the next slide? And maybe it's the moment for me to share with you. Oh, here you go. Maybe, Marta, you want me to share the link, no?
I handled the link. I will share it also in the website, but the idea is that you answer with your phone. So yeah, we have a couple of open-ended open answers that we would like you to answer. So if you go with the phone and scan the QR code, you will see what the others are also answering. And in the meantime, hear the presentation of Marjorie.
Okay, so let's continue. So actually, 44% of European lack basic digital skills, while almost 100% of European workplace use computer. And the definition of basic skills are about the use of digital devices, communication application, and networks to access and manage information, according to the UNESCO. So our first question for this debate or this conversation would be, how do we cope with the digital skills gap? So for that, I will maybe ask first to Jacob, maybe to answer to this question briefly.
Yes, I mean, I tried to already outline what the Commission does and what the EU does in my presentation, but the scope of actions is actually much broader than just the platform. As I said, the platform should be the one-stop shop, but we have several ways how we try to address this issue. But of course, as I said, we need also the involvement of the actors, of the organizations, of the companies, of the education providers. But just to list few of our actions: Digital Education Action Plan, which has actions in terms of updating school curricula, delivering a EU Council recommendation next year on digital skills, making sure that kids at schools, primary and secondary, perform well in terms of digital skills. We have Code Week, which is a broad grassroots initiative that the Commission supports, where the aim is to bring coding to the schools and computational thinking to schools and to the kids. Last year we had over 72,000 activities. This year we are even bigger with 75,000, and there are millions of participants. And it's really, we see it as a way how to bring to kids already the basis for these advanced digital skills, so that when the kids are choosing their careers or their studies, they have already experienced some technology, they have worked with robots, they have worked with AI, and so they can understand and make more informed choices when they are 17 about the university they want to apply. Then there is so these are let's say the policy initiatives. There are two major funding opportunities. One of them I mentioned is the Digital Europe program that will be launched. The calls will be launched very soon, and that focuses again on bringing the funding towards having more digital experts in Europe. The second one is the Recovery and Resilience Facility. I guess you might know that as a response to the pandemic, the Commission organized this facility so that the member states wrote their national plans on what they want to do, and there is 20 billion of euros aiming to digital skills to be invested in the next 3, 4, 5 years, and so there the member states had to develop their national plans, and now they are implementing them. So there will be a lot of going on through this facility. And then let me just say the third group of action, and that's probably the one where we really want you to be involved. It's the community actions, the sharing of good practices, and that could be the platform. This is the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition that I mentioned. This is the Pact for Skills that we have launched just 1 year ago. This is the structural dialogue that the Commission is now having with the member states to identify what additional actions can be done on the both European and member state level to bridge this gap. So I think the Commission is extremely active, and we are of course open to any initiative also coming from you, from the community, and we take this very seriously. Also, you might have seen that the Commission President Ursula von der Leyen mentioned during her State of the Union speech in September that digital skills are extremely important, and when she talked about investments in digital economy in general, she said we will invest in 5G and fiber, but equally important is the investment in the human capital and in the digital skills. So I think really this is just a short overview. There are more activities, more actions, of course, on the European level, but I think these are kind of the highlights of what we do in the Commission.
Thank you very much, Jakub. That was an excellent answer. There is a lot of initiative that will take place. That's great. And I would like to hear from Giovanni if you have some answer to this question eventually.
Yes, can you repeat the question, because I have taken some note, but I would be out of the track, please.
Don't worry. The question was, how do we cope with the digital skills gap?
Yes, I was thinking about our mission in the society as TVET providers and representatives from the company that take in charge the mandate to improve the human capacity for production. We have, first, I mentioned before, this approach to understand what are the skills for the future that are not universal. We think that there's a skill foresight, analysis must be connected to territorial needs. There is no one skill for all the seasons. Of course, that there are skills for the future that are basic, and the skills that we are talking today are compose this box that is for the life, but each territory has to drive the choice of which skills in detail are necessary for the local development. And this is an important aspect when you ask how we move on. I think we need to move on connected to our territories, involving policymakers, leaders that have to decide about the future of our territories. There is no one skills for all the seasons. Then we need to focus the need to train the trainers, because I think that an important obstacle is also that the 40% of the population that Jacob was mentioning includes also the trainers. And we need to start from trainers. I'm talking about the Tibet environment, of course. And then I think that it's very important to connect all these actions, the efforts that we put in improving the human capital, in working together with an approach that is, as a method, the work-based learning approach. Work-based learning approach means that we need to be concrete and to look for skills that are able to allow people to have their own job. So because we have not to forget that there is also an as a basic thought, the idea that all these has to facilitate the labor market, and it's important that the skills that we look to and the skills that we develop, that we support to be acquired by people, bring to labor market.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. So it's about the missions, about policy making. It's about work based on with a learning approach. Marta, maybe you can read some of the answers we got from the participant.
Yes, definitely. So in the slide, some of the attendants said that the problem should be addressed at different levels at secondary schools by improving the digital skills already of the general public, in a higher education by increasing the number of university degrees related to digital technologies and creating specialized masters, and at company level by providing continuous training to workers. There's also an answer that at the IH who is listening today, that they try to help universities and manufacturing interact to each other, to help them in order to be more aligned on the offer and demand, the need of companies and the offer of universities. And well, there's also an interesting approach here that I think Jacob, they are going to launch it soon, but here there's a proposal to a skill validation platform and gamified, so with gamification. And another one is that in the manufacturing sector, the training development or the skills gap is addressed by in-house and external training, but this only happens when companies see this as an added value. So it's not a trend. So I think this is it, what we have so far. We can go to the next one.
Yes, we can continue to the next slide. So, well, this is an important number that I read before, no? The consequences of the lockdowns, no? 59 million of Europeans lost their job. And this number, I think, show us the vulnerabilities of company and workforce when put in a non-forecasting scenario. So this bring us to our next question. How do we anticipate risks and of unemployment? So I will let Jacob to start, and then maybe Filippo will also have some words.
And remember that you can also scan the QR code in this slide and answer and give your opinion as attendants.
I try to be short. I mean, what is clear is that the nature of work and the nature of skills is changing, and the key here is to be flexible, for people to be ready and willing to learn new skills. The times when you start a job and when you are 20 and you do it until 60 or 65 is definitely over. So there are waves where you learn, then you have the job, and then you might lose the job or change the job, and that's completely natural. So I would say lifelong learning is definitely a way to go. These soft skills that you, Marjorie, also described, teamwork, problem solving, logic thinking. I mean, these are the skills that complement the pure technical skills, and to be open to the new trends, because the world is changing so fast, and we need both but the one more thing, the problem is not only if people, like the workers, to be reskilled, or to be ready to be reskilled, or to be willing to be reskilled, but the problem what we see very often is also on the, let's say, on the management side, when the managers, they fear the technological change, they fear to adapt technologies to their companies, because they don't maybe see immediately the benefits. So it's also for on this side to still be looking for new ways of getting information and seeing the benefits of the new trends that are shaping our economies and societies.
Thank you. So I wanted to let Filippo also answering, and maybe to have in mind this foresight concept also. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you, Marjorie. I continue on what Jakub
Okay.
has just said. That is the key word I think here is complexity. So it's not the first time in human history that we have to solve this kind of problems, but this time we have so much complexity with respect to before that we are all overwhelmed. And I think that here, yes, foresight is a possibility, but is we have to look at it on a bigger picture that is science in general. So let me be very simple and very straight to the point. We, in order to manage this complexity, we have to find ways. So when I say I intend Europe as a whole. So universities, together with policymakers, together with companies, together with students, together with professors, and so on and so forth, to have quantitative methods to understand and break down the complexity and mix it with qualitative methods in order to take fast decision on an environment that is complex and ever evolving. So if I think about the digital skill gap, it means understanding where technologies is going, and how we can train, upskill and reskill people in order to or follow or anticipate this change or drive this change. This is only a point because, as Eurico was asking also in the chat, then there is the point of educating these people. So translating these evidences into actions, which is pedagogical actions. And these also, quite young, but I started to do some courses at the university, and pedagogy now is complex. Again, we have complexity also in pedagogy because our students are changing, are different from 3 years ago. And so we have to find also new ways to teach these skills to people. So I've heard about gamification before. This is an interesting approach, but also there is a lot of buzzwording around gamification. And if we talk with people that do it as a research, they say that there is no evidences of the fact that gamification is effective. There is no measures. So, okay, we know that it works, but how much work? For which skill does it work? And so on and so forth. So we have to answer to questions such this one, which are complex questions.
Before Marta read some answer or some questions, so just to summarize a bit, so it's about to be flexible to new skills, to adopt lifelong learning, and of course being aware of the soft skill and this important word that it's complexity, taking fast decision also, and having new ways to teach. I mean, finding new ways to teach. So maybe Marta, you want to read some answer now or some
Yes.
questions?
some of the answers that we have from the attendants is that we need flexible and resilient organizations and improve our skills to try to foresee and mitigate crises. And this is also an interesting one. What we are seeing is completely the opposite. So companies are not able to finding the necessary workforce, and this applies to digital professionals, but also to other sectors and qualified professionals. What we need is to promote a reskilling culture. And Filippo and Giovanni, there are some questions in the chat that I will read out loud. So Eurico has a question. We talked a lot about digital skills. However, how do we make sure that the skills being developed are the needed ones? How we connect initiatives with the correct training delivery? Or how do we connect the delivery training in more advanced digital skills with existing industrial and sector standards such as CEN, ISO, ASTM, ASME? Yeah, and well, he also says that we have done a lot of work on gamification, VR and AR, Eurico, and distance learning, and how it fits some training programs. But there's no solution that fits all. Yeah. So I don't know if somebody has an answer for this.
You were calling to me, but I have ideas on how to do, because I think that first I'm going now to answer to the question of the slide, but I think it's connected with also Eurico comments, because before I was saying what is our understanding of the skill foresight analysis. We decided to implement the ILO Skolkovo school method with some adaptation by the Skillman network, and we look to connect the territorial needs, I was saying before, to the trends, to the availability of skills, or to the universal skills that are considered necessary, but we need to adapt this. And then the second phase, when you have understood what are the skills necessary for your environment, for your territory, then you have to deploy the curricula adaptation. You have to design new curricula, or you have to to co-create a new curricula together with the companies, and you have to drive this change within the TVET, within the education sector. But, and this is the question, how we can anticipate the risk of unemployment. I think that in many cases we are missing the ABC, the basic, because we have educational systems that are still designed for a society that is not anymore existing. So our students interact in a different way than the way that is promoted in many schools. And we think to anticipate the risk of unemployment with such settings. It's impossible. I think that this work to merge together the world of production and the world of learning is more and more urgent, is what I was saying in my presentation. The need to think to work environments where you can learn. And the same, the mirror of this is that the learning environment has to move close to the production environment. So we need to merge, and both of them have to move in the same direction to meet each other. So we can anticipate the risk of unemployment, giving, of course, the skill mismatch is the key, providing skills that make the companies more resilient in such crises like pandemic, and with the effect that we have experimented. You need to change your organization in a way that the organization can survive, because it's a very big challenge, this. And so if you don't have the right skills, you cannot do it if you don't have the right skilled people. And to have the right skilled people, people must grow up within your environment and not in an environment that then need another training for having for providing the right skills that are necessary in the workplace.
Thank you, Giovanni. This is perfect answer for the last slide of that I wanted to present. So, of course, everyone heard about the metaverse lately. We know that it's business for Mr. Zuckerberg, but what about us? I mean, imagine that we organized this workshop today in a metaverse room. Would you know how to enter in this room? And you can see in this picture that there are people around the table with a computer. Would you know how to use this computer? Would you know how to be seated around this table? And would you need an avatar? No. So there are much questions to be asked. I mean, a new adaptation, new way of maybe doing a meeting. No, there is a data that is very important. That is by 2025, 50% of all employees will need reskilling. So the question is here, how do we foresee a human-centric job transformation? Maybe you want to start, Jakob, again?
Okay, I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, I think that's a big question. First of all, with the metaverse and with Facebook, I just my impression of all of this is that it's a vision of you know, of the leaders of the Facebook, but it's not something that that I would expect that I mean, it's not something that is coming in mandatory that we will now need to sit around a virtual table, you know. And just coming back 1.5 years back, before the pandemic, we have all been working physically. We have all been going to the offices, and suddenly from one day to another we had to adapt. And I think the reason why we have, or the way how we have the discussion today shows that we have adapted in a way that we want it. It's not that someone told us that you know, that now you will need to have your avatar. I mean, clearly the community did not want to have an avatar, and so that's why we are discussing the way we are discussing. And I think the flexibility here is also again showed that that we need, you know, we need to, I agree with the fact that we need to be in power, and the workers need to have a say on that, but I would not fear that we would be meeting with avatars around the virtual table still. Well, maybe I'm too conservative in that way, and I don't see the ways that that Mr. Zuckerberg sees. But on the human-centric job transformation, I mean, I agree with you, Marjorie, and also what the Commission says on the Industry 5.0. You described it extremely well. The shift is there. The nature of job is changing, and I think it's in the interest of the employees to listen to to be in contact with their employees, and listen to how they want to also shape their job, because you know, this is how the things are moving now ahead. I think that's basically my reply. So having the employer and employees having a contact, empowering the employees. I think that's the way forward. Enabling them to this lifelong learning, enabling them, giving them the upskilling opportunities. I think that's the key there, because every good employer knows that having committed and motivated employees is a big advantage, and it's a big competitiveness, let's say, advantage against the other players on the market.
Thank you, Jakob. I was wondering if before letting Giovanni or Filippo answering, maybe Yuriko wants to talk about its experience with virtual reality.
I wasn't expecting to talk, so I'll try. I'll try to keep it short.
Don't worry, yeah, you're not obliged, but I thought that
no,
it was...
it's a very quick comment. So I work for an organization that deals with training for 30 years now worldwide, and we assess the use of virtual reality gamification in, let's say, manufacturing-intensive training programs. So welders, welding coordinators, inspectors, so things very much hands-on. And the results were a bit disappointing. So so as you know, when you talk about this type of profession, they need to be certified. Thank God they need to be certified because we want to cross the bridges. We want to be in airplanes completely safe. And we did an assessment to see how much we could reduce let's say, on-the-job welding, for instance, in welders, with virtual reality, augmented reality, or gamification. And we could only do, using these tools, like around 30% at the initial stage. When it got to really complex jobs and configurations of welding, matching a virtual reality environment with a real case scenario was not possible. So we actually evaluated someone that went 100% through virtually, 100% through gamification, 50% and things like that. And then we went to a third party to get them certified. And the results were clear. So people that actually were above the 30% with a hands-on job were the ones that were getting certified. The ones that were getting less than 30%, they were doing more on virtually, were not getting certification at the end. So this was just one example of something we were able to conclude, and that actually influenced the way we deliver training through our network now. So we only allow 30% to be virtual, augmented reality, or gamification. Apart from that, they need, and we do identify exactly the type of job they can do. Apart, when we get to more complex, they really need to be with a welding torch in their hand, with a plate in front of them, and all of that. So that was just an example, Marjorie.
Thank you very much. That was really interesting, actually. Maybe Filippo or Giovanni, you want to add something, some answer to?
Yeah, I can start very briefly, and then I give the word to Giovanni.
Okay.
Super briefly. Here the point is the old story of the relationship between technologies and humans. So every technology brings some advantages, otherwise there is no sense to design it. But every technology has also drawbacks. And sorry if I insist, but now that we are in this complex environment, also technologies are getting more and more complex. So this kind of drawbacks can be really hard to foresee. Let's think about the example of Instagram. So its evidence is that Instagram, which is apparently easy technology because it's a photos sharing application, has a lot of psychological drawbacks on our youth, and we have to find ways to foresee this kind of drawbacks, because we cannot let the market go in any possible directions. And by the way, I also agree with Jakub about the metaverse. It looks like a very top-down approach from Facebook, so we will see where it goes. But the point is, I don't see any document from Facebook that deliberate to talk about the possible drawbacks of this kind of technologies, and these scare me. And I am the most one of the most technological animal in Pisa, at least, not in Italy.
We will have to wait a documentary from Netflix maybe to explain us.
Yeah,
the
after the damage is done.
Yes. Giovanni, just to close this this question, you have some commentary?
I like very much this discussion. I think back to many years ago when I was, because I'm used to experiment, to test all these systems. I have thousands of links, and when I go back to a platform, usually I discover that I was already logged in years ago, and the platform changed, but my user is still there. And I think when I started to use the fax, the virtual fax, everybody was sending and receiving fax on this chemical paper, and we was instead using the fax was a software, and this was allowing us also to make mailings of faxes, but nobody was aware about this possibility. And then I think, for example, of platforms that have provided services for years, and then you see that there's a services disappear, the button disappear, because the simplification of the interface, is what happened also, what happened with the Android system, that was a simplification against the Windows environment. I'm not talking about now the Apple environment. But so you have put here metaverse. Metaverse is an offer, is not really implemented. It is something that is trying to offer a service, but we don't know what will be the market, the real what will be, because you keep on a service if the service is implemented by users. I have put in the chat also, I know, for example, the Alter Vista that is from Microsoft, like Metaverse. I know, for example, that exists from several years. I don't remember exactly, but I have it from various years, the hubs from Mozilla community. So there are systems that allow to understand what will be probably the future, but honestly, it is not implemented yet. So make the sentence that this will be the future, it's hazardous in my opinion, depend on the reaction by consumers, by users. And I think that majority, because we start from the same data that Jakub proposed, 40% of people are totally out of this game. And if you think what happened with the pandemic, what we have seen that before was not possible to think that to organize a distance meeting with anyone, but now you think that is possible. So my frequency of flights before pandemic was 4 flights per month. Then for the 2 years after pandemic COVID period started, it was down to 0. Now it's 2 years or 1.5 years that I'm doing the same job in the same way, but I found interlocutors, I found counterparts that are able to interact with me through online meetings. But this was not possible before because I was not liking to take the flights 4 times per month. It was very tiring for me, but was not possible to propose to my counterpart to have an online meeting because many of them was out of this game. Now, this is a technology that is acquired, I would say. And what we noted in these platforms is the growing up of additional technical solutions. Even this one that we are using, Meet, was not in this way 2 years ago. It was not providing all these characteristics, tunings that you can do, and the system that you see now was totally, was really poor. And now, so we have all these opportunities, but probably in the next years, some of these buttons will disappear because nobody is going to use it. So my final consideration on this is that yes, there is now an opportunity. I want to see this as an opportunity. There is no any any clear situation in front, because now there is the race to provide these opportunities to users, and we don't know what the users will select, will choose. And of course, in my opinion, there's very advanced platforms like we have Metaverse, but the other ones that are friendly for people that are like gamers, that are used to use gaming environment, but for the rest of the population are totally far, very far from their possibilities.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Giovanni, for that reflection. Marta, you want to read some answers?
Yeah, exactly. So we have some answers in Slido. So I will read out loud some of them. Make sure that people have the skills to work with machines. AI make people understand that it's part of the process and that they are at the center of the change. Digital solutions will be present to support and enhance the role of humans in manufacturing, but not to replace them. And we need to open digitalization to experts in other disciplines, more human-centered sociology, education, psychology, and pedagogy. I think this is happening also under the New Horizon Europe topics that, for example, they are trying to include more this social science and humanities approach to more industrialized topics that were before only focused on that. Now we are going to start with the debate. Just as a reminder that we are prioritizing agreement and harmony over personal views and cooperation over dissent. I'm going to right now put in the chat a link that it's a mural. So this is now the time for you to shine to the to the persons that are attending, and also to network kind of in an online way. So if you want to speak, just raise your hand. Marjorie will give you the voice to do so. And well, you will see that we have divided the mural in different sections. You can access it now through the chat and start collaborating in it. And Marjorie will guide you a little bit thematically over this part, and I will go back and forward in the presentation. So these are the blocks. The idea is that you take as many post-its as you want. The first one would be, who are you? What is your initiative? And answer Jakub's question of what is your institution doing in order to close the digital skills gap. If you want others to know about you, you can leave your LinkedIn account or also maybe your email. Then the second box is more about the state of the art of digital skills situation. The third one, the risks. What happens if this human-centric approach is not adopted? Then the ideal path towards this human-centric approach towards 5.0, and some conclusions or actions to take that could happen. Just that you know, all this session is recorded, and there's a graphic recorder that it's making a picture of your inputs, and that we will publish it in a report where the different initiatives will be highlighted, and also a reflection of this collaborative board. And at the end of the I4MS, we will also do a publication with the gatherings of these working groups, and we will invite you also to collaborate in this document. So I will open the Moodle and let you know how it works. So you let me know if you can see it. 1 second. Maybe Marjorie, you can start to.
Yes, actually, just to give you some insight or input about the first block that will be like a quick state of art of the digital skill situation. We talked about that during all the session, but to have in mind the lesson learned after COVID-19, the new technology and disruption, and of course the automatization that is transforming the industry. So these three ideas would maybe help to fulfill this first block. For the second block, actually, the risk now, the possible consequences if nothing is done. It would be important to have in mind, of course, the workforce and the industry, but also the society. And for the last block, that would be the ideal path towards Industry 5.0. Let's think about if we can, as we talked before, if we can anticipate the job transformation, some ideas of having in mind the skill gap, no, and how do we change, or do we change the learning system, and how do we put the focus on the human values? So it's kind of ideas to answer to all the blocks, no. So I see that everyone is very active already. That's great.
Maybe someone wants to raise their hand and speak.
Marta, maybe you could share with the audience how they can track deposits and how they can comment, because maybe...
Yeah, so this is a Moodle board. It's like a whiteboard. Since we don't have it in the physical space, it's an online one. Later on, we will make a picture and upload it. The idea is that either you can give your opinion by raising your hand, and Marjorie will give you the voice, or if you are shy and you want to contribute, just drag a post-it. It's one of these yellow ones, and you can move it in the box and just zoom in and write here. For example, I'm doing it with my name, and I will leave my email just in case you want to contact us. So as Mobile World Capital, we participate in I4MS, but an initiative that I think that it's closing the digital skills gap, that it's more based in Barcelona city. It's called Barcelona Digital Talent. So we have this initiative that studies this gap, actually. So the offer and demand gap between the skills of the citizens and what the companies are looking for. So we use for that data scrapping methodologies, and also different partnership with LinkedIn. And the idea is they do a monitoring of every month. So the jobs that have not been fulfilled, and which is the trend of the positions. And we analyze this gap mainly in Barcelona, and we try to help reskill and upskill of citizens through different public driven initiatives from the city council, for example. I don't know if Jordi is in the call. He had an interview, but he's the director of this initiative. Yeah. So this is, for example, our contribution. I see that we have here different people already. So Anikom, she's representing in nomine DIH in Hungary. We aim at SMEs in our region to boost their digitalization. So maybe Aniko, if you want.
Yes, thank you very much. The digital skills. Okay, so I would like to thanks for this invitation. The invitation came to my colleague Gabor, and he delegated me to participate because my background is in e-learning and digital education mostly. So that's why I found the first part of this workshop very, very interesting. And our organization, well, we are both a DIH and also a consultancy firm, but here I'm representing ourselves as a DIH, so Digital Innovation Hub. We are participating in several Horizon 2020, and now we are applying for Horizon Europe projects mostly, and our most important aim is to empower SMEs, mostly Hungarian SMEs, obviously, in their digital transformation. And to reach that, we have got several projects with digital twinning, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, using sensors in manufacturing. So basically, digitizing the traditional manufacturing process. So in a nutshell, this is it. Thank you very much for calling on me, and I'm very happy to answer any questions during the workshop and after that also. Thank you.
Thank you. I see also Martina has written quite a bit, so maybe Martina, do you want to explain out loud what you've written?
Hello, yes. I was just actually typing my experience in my organizations. I'm representing Sunrise Valley Science and Technology Park and also DIH. And regarding bridging the gap of digital skills and gaining more experience in the digital sector, we have started with the InnoK project, which was bringing together Baltic Sea region DHS, and we aimed at like identifying what digital skills Baltic states are missing compared to Scandinavian DHS, which are considered at the top of on the industry. So we found those missing parts in Baltic states, and as a result, we prepared a series of webinars, some digital tools that help for local companies identify what digital skills they are missing. Also had a platform where they can find some interesting articles about digitalization. And currently this project is running to the end. We'll be having a final conference where we'll be sharing our best examples from the project, and inviting all the partners to take part in there. And I think it's a good example of how to start such transformation regionally and then to broaden to the whole Europe. And I think that's a good example to follow.
Thank you so much. So I also see that Krasimira is writing a lot. So maybe Krasimira, ICT cluster, Bulgaria is also an I4MS contact point. This is also another thing, if you want to get enrolled with other initiatives that I4MS has to offer, we have a network of DIHs and more like national and regional initiatives that support giving voice to the open calls that will open soon in 2022 for SMEs to adopt skills or also to test new technologies. So the I4MS contact point help us in this task by also giving the support regionally and nationally, and Krasimira has been a big supporter. So maybe Krasimira, if you want to explain what ICT cluster Bulgaria is doing.
Thank you, Marta. As you already said, we are a contact point of I4MS, and through I4MS we are organizing different events to support companies to understand more about how they could have access to all the opportunity of I4MS for the in the topic of digital skills too, and for innovation actions. We are part also of European Digital Innovation Hub, which the support of improvement and digital transformation also in the human resources. It's a very important topic. So we, through the connection with the universities and technology providers, we are doing a kind of map of the skills in the companies and their necessary skills that they should be improved, and to provide them the specific trainings too, and also other initiatives. But I think this is the most important as activities.
Thank you so much. So maybe Ricardo Guggiola, maybe you can explain a little bit about this skill validation platform that you've created.
Yeah, sure. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure to listen to all of the feedbacks. Well, my surname is Guggiola. It's very tough, but that's totally fine also to be there. I'm a specialist in digital advertising, and I've noticed that to validate skills in this field, the best way was to have hands-on experience and students doing a hands-on experience to validate their skills. Um, Digital advertising, digital marketing are markets in which skills are evolving rapidly. So 6 months and you're old already. So for skills, so what we started to think was a platform, actually a technology that also uses artificial intelligence and all of the technological advancements at the moment. But at the basis, this skill validation platform is able to let students do practice with tools, so Excel, Google Analytics, and all of the tools that will be used in digital marketing in their job position. And while the students and well, candidates and talents are doing their task, they're solving their task. We call them challenges. Okay, we give challenges to people to solve. While they're solving them, our system is able to analyze all of the information of the behavior on the platform and what actually what actual task the user performed to gain insights and validate into a profile scorecard. The profile scorecard contains all of these skills, and we call it meta skills, which are, for example, precision, ability to use tools, ability to use platforms, and so on and so forth, which is most useful than a normal CV, because CV is just saying just auto-declared information about a candidate. But we have noticed that companies and digital agencies, when they want to hire the candidate, now they look more for the profile scorecard because they can actually see the skills. And the profile scorecard is a dynamic certificate, so every month we update the challenges. So in order to keep updated, you need to go every time in the platform and check it out, what the progress are. This was the actual case study and a use case that we already apply with here in Italy. We have now a baseline of 1,000 students applying, and we will keep it running also for other European countries. But my idea here in the manufacturing environment, which I honestly don't know that much because I all the time produce slides and I'm more like working on the laptop. But the idea is to build skill validation platforms by applying the same model that we did in the digital advertising also for the manufacturing. So that is my contribute, and I hope that we can work together on some solutions with, of course, subject matter experts and all of the people related to this environment.
Very interesting. So I am the University of Polytechnic of Milan is also here, and they presented in the first working group their solution that also was doing some skill assessment, mainly in data analytics, if I'm not mistaken. And Madi, who was here, I think he also wrote in one of the cards about this. And also Nero Subianco, Ricardo Barotto is also one of the I4MS contact points, and they presented their project also in the first working group. We have the recording, and you can see it also if you want. I don't know, Marjorie, if somebody has risen their hand to speak.
No,
Okay.
we have it, but people are actually very active on the mural, so it's really great to see that. We don't have much time, Marta. We just have 5 minutes left.
Yes.
So how do we
have...
proceed? Someone want to quickly say something? Comment one of the block. I think that the block of risk is really interesting, but I don't know, maybe someone wants to talk, one of our participant or someone in the public.
If not, I will read out loud what the people have been written, but now is the chance. So for your 4 minutes left of, of training. So in regards to the state of art of digital skills, so people sometimes are reluctant to change, and I think raise awareness could change this trend and also make sure companies have long-term strategies to upskill their workforce. This is true. There's also some evidence-based research that says that people tend to perceive that they have higher skills than the actual ones they have. So that's why self-assessment tools in which you say how much you know of something have a different grade of level of skills rather than if it's like more of a test. Yeah. So
we have some
raised hand. Yeah.
So I don't know who want to start. Anestis?
Okay.
Or... Yes.
Yes, if you want, why not? Hello, I'm Anestis Papadopoulos, Director of Private School in Greece. And I want to ask if you have any predictions or ideas about the connections or the integration of these digital tools and skills in secondary education. We have some activities connected to your topic, and we have an Erasmus Plus project. I want to know if your initiative is involving or willing or has in mind to involve also secondary education schools.
Yes, actually, this is a very interesting question because under I4MS, there are 8 different projects. And well, one of them, well, that I know quite well, it's called Better Factory. And they recently shared with I4MS well, these are the 8 projects that are driving in the manufacturing sector initiatives. Better Factory is doing through a partner that it's called Gluon in Belgium. They are doing a workshop with children and related to VR also technologies and manufacturing. And they are doing these VR labs in order to bring the children knowledge about advanced manufacturing technologies. So this is the partner within Better Factory that is doing this, and they have different types of projects that might be of interest for you. I will leave it here also as an initiative. This is the ones that I know of that exist.
Okay, thank you.
And we have another raised hand, Raffaele Giacomelli.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes, hello, thanks. Okay, I am the MD of, in fact, I come from the Excel research industry, and we have identified the problem of the skill shortage is pretty big. We feel this every day. There is a very true war for talent. Every single candidate we contact has at least 2 offers in end to change job. So the problem in what we have done we cooperate with the Solvay Business School here in Belgium, and we have developed a framework, well, based on the SFIA framework, which is the Skills for the Information Age, a tool that enables to test basically the skills versus the jobs. Because everybody talks about skills, but the reality is the skills are useful to the extent you can get a role. And basically what we have done is to put the skills in the context of the job, and the level of the skills and the, let's say, competence in function of the job changes. So, and what is more important is that when people do this assessment, the purpose is to understand where the gaps they have, which is hampering the possibility to develop and to perform better the job, as well as the possibility to grow into different roles. Hence, based on the assets of skill, we suggest which are the additional roles they can do. And even more importantly, we tell which kind of training they can take. So what I'm saying is, while the basic education for the digital skills is important, because this is, of course, hampering the ability of Europe to respond to the digital transformation, there is even bigger need at expert level. And that's where there is a need of a compass to be able to help them to understand where are their gaps and what they need to do to get there. So if anyone is interested and then the group is interested, I'm happy to have a session and explain what you've done and how we are using this to combine our service towards the candidates to understand where their career development paths are, as well as the training options they have, and to serve the industry, which is really suffering today from the shortage of skills.
Amazing. So yeah, I think for the next working group, that probably will be around January. Maybe you can present your initiative, and yeah. So also, if anyone is willing to present their initiatives, you can write me an email, and we can organize it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good. I don't know if somebody has the hand up, Marjorie. If not, I will close the session since we are 2 minutes over the time.
No one actually, Marta. You can close the session.
So just to finalize, we have an online community also to debate. We will send it to you, this link. So if you want to join, it's a space like a forum where we can all collaborate and debate. And the idea is also to do this white paper or like maybe a summary of the working group sessions. And so far we have done a literature review. And we've highlighted some of the best practices that were presented in the last working group that we had around summer. And the idea is to continue with this work, and we invite you to contribute. So we will send you a follow-up email, and just to make sure that we continue the debate. So thank you all. And
thank you very much for
it was a pleasure
for your participation on the mural also, and for all the participants, Giovanni, Filippo, and Jacob. It was a great session, and yes, just follow us on I4MS to have some summary of the session, and of course you will be able to rewatch the session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.